हेलो एवरीवन एंड वेलकम बैक टू माय प्लेलिस्ट ऑफ फिजियोलॉजी। हम कर रहे हैं गाइटन से फिजियोलॉजी एंड टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू डू चैप्टर नंबर 70 which is basically about physiology of protein metabolism। मैं ऑलरेडी कार्बोहाइड्रेट और लिपिड मेटाबॉलिज्म करवा चुका हूँ पिछले वीडियोस में, और बार बार मैंने आपसे ये बात डिस्कस की है कि व्हेन वी स्टडी द फिजियोलॉजी ऑफ मेटाबॉलिज्म इट इज़ इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू डिस्कस इन डिटेल द केमिकल रिएक्शंस जो स्टेप्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, यानी स्टेप बाय स्टेप वी डू दिस इन बायोकेमिस्ट्री, but the idea of doing metabolism chapters in physiology is the fact कि आपको ओवरऑल पिक्चर पता हो कि how the body handles each of these macromolecules. About 3/4 of the body solids are actually made up of protein, so that's a big chunk of your body solid portion. These proteins include structural proteins which are involved in making the structures, and these include a lot of things. We will talk about them as the chapter progresses forward, such as collagen है या वो तमाम चीज़ें जो आपकी बॉडी का स्ट्रक्चर बनाती हैं. The proteins can be of enzymatic nature. You know a lot of enzymes. All of them are proteins. Proteins can also be present in the body in the form of nucleoproteins alongside the structure of nucleus. Proteins that transport oxygen, proteins of the muscles that cause contraction. You also have protein in the GI tract, उसका भी काम contraction है. So proteins are making a lot of different functions possible in the body. Even the ion channels, you see the channels जो inside and outside ये जो cell की movement है through to and from the cell, तमाम आइंस की या डिफरेंट पार्टिकल्स की, तो उनके भी जो गेटवेज हैं, ऑल द गेटवेज आर मेड अप ऑफ प्रोटीन. सो प्रोटीन्स आर ये कहने में मुझे कोई there is no special thing that I'm saying. Proteins are integral component of your body, and without this, life processes are just not possible, okay? The basic chemical properties that explain diverse function of proteins are so extensive that they constitute a major portion of the entire discipline of biochemistry. Obviously, biochemistry में protein metabolism का बहुत detailed पूरा एक section है. For this reason, the current discussion is confined to a few specific aspects of protein metabolism, and probably we are going to discuss only the physiological aspects, जिसमें आपको एक ओवरऑल पिक्चर पता होनी चाहिए कि प्रोटीन्स की बॉडी में जगह कहाँ है, वो किस तरह से मेटाबोलाइज होते हैं, like we did for carbohydrates and lipids, to gain the overall understanding which is the part of normal physiology. Now, before we start further detailed discussion, it is important to understand some basic properties of the proteins that we have. प्रोटीन्स बिल्कुल वैसे जैसे कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स मोनोसैकेराइड से मिलके बनते हैं ना, एक ग्लूकोज, दूसरा ग्लूकोज, तीसरा ग्लूकोज, चौथा ग्लूकोज, बहुत सारा ग्लूकोज मिलके ग्लाइकोजन बनाता है या स्टार्च बनाता है, बिल्कुल ऐसे ही प्रोटीन्स आर मेड अप ऑफ अमाइनो एसिड्स. दे आर द प्रिंसिपल कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स ऑफ प्रोटीन. The principal constituent proteins are amino acid, the basic building block. So there is one amino acid combined with the other, and that ultimately makes a protein chain. Okay. Now there are about 20 amino acids, और उनकी different तरह से classification हम करते हैं that we deal in more detail in biochemistry. But each amino acid has an acidic group and a nitrogen atom attached to the molecule, usually represented by the NH2 group. So if you look at this diagram, there is an acidic group and there is an OH group. So this is one amino acid. This is then the other amino acid. There is an acidic group which is the carboxylic acid group, and there is an NH2 group. So that's the general formula, okay? And one amino acid, so this is one amino acid, this is the other amino acid, they are combined together by a bond which is known as peptide bond. So peptide linkages are present between the two amino acid, and when there are multiple peptide linkages, we call this a polypeptide या protein. The amino acids of the proteins are aggregated into long chains by means of peptide linkages. The chemical nature of this link is demonstrated as follows. So this is the way OH group from the carboxylic acid group and H from the NH2 group, they move out as water molecule, and hence a bond is formed which is then known as the peptide bond. Note in this reaction that the nitrogen of the amino radical of one amino acid bonds with the carbon of the carboxyl radical of the other amino acid. So the nitrogen is bonding with the carbon, okay? So that's the basics of peptide bond. Hydrogen ion and an hydroxyl ion are removed in the form of water. They are released. एक अमाइनो एसिड से हाइड्रोजन रिलीज होगा, दूसरे अमाइनो एसिड से OH ग्रुप रिलीज होगा, कंबाइन मिलकर ये वाटर का मॉलिक्यूल निकल जाएगा, एंड देन द रिमेनिंग पार्ट्स यानी नाइट्रोजन एक अमीनो ग्रुप का, यहाँ से इफ यू लुक एट दिस डायग्राम अ लिटिल मोर क्लियरली, देन यू विल सी कि दिस इज वन अमीनो एसिड, दिस इज अदर अमीनो एसिड। ये एक अमीनो एसिड का कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड ग्रुप है, इसमें से OH निकलेगा। ये दूसरा अमीनो एसिड का NH2 ग्रुप है, इसमें से H निकलेगा। सो HOH मिलकर क्या रिलीज कर देंगे? वाटर। एंड नाउ द रिमेनिंग नाइट्रोजन एंड दिस कार्बन, दे बॉन्ड विद ईच अदर एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल द पेप्टाइड बॉन्ड। ओके, एंड अगर मल्टीपल अमीनो एसिड आपस में इसी तरह कंबाइन हो जाते हैं, वन अमीनो एसिड कंबाइंस विद अदर अमीनो एसिड कंबाइंस विद, so this is then known as a protein chain. Yeah, it is also known as a peptide chain. Some complicated protein molecules have many thousands of amino acids combined by peptide linkages with each other, and even the smallest protein molecule usually has more than 20 amino acids. So अगर छोटे से छोटा भी आप protein molecule देखें तो उसमें 20 के करीब amino acids होते ही हैं. So the average amino acid in any protein molecule is roughly around 400 amino acids. So that is the quantum of the length of the peptide chain that we usually see, okay? Now, some protein molecules are composed of several peptide chains rather than a single chain, and these chains are then bound together by the hydrogen bonding. यानी कहने का पर्पस ये है कि सपोज मेरे पास ये एक पेप्टाइड चेन है, इसमें बहुत सारे अमीनो एसिड हैं, दूसरी मेरे पास ये पेप्टाइड चेन है, इसमें भी बहुत सारे अमीनो एसिड हैं. Sometimes the peptide chains are also connected to each other by hydrogen bonding. Okay. Now, transport and storage of amino acid. Amino acids का जो ट्रांसपोर्ट है और उनकी जो स्टोरेज है उस पर अब अगले कुछ पैराग्राफ्स हैं. द नॉर्मल कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ अमीनो एसिड्स इन द ब्लड इज अबाउट 35 to 65 milligrams per deciliter, which is an average of about 2 milligram per deciliter for each of the 20 amino acids, because that's what we have got ना. 20 amino acids हैं, अगर टोटल तकरीबन 40 के करीब 40 मिलीग्राम के करीब अगर अमीनो एसिड ब्लड में है तो रफली हर अमीनो एसिड का अबाउट 2 मिलीग्राम मौजूद होता है. दे आर मोर और लेस इन द इक्वल क्वांटिटीज. बिकॉज द अमीनो एसिड्स आर रिलेटिवली स्ट्रॉन्ग एसिड्स, इनका नाम ही है अमीनो एसिड, they exist in the blood principally in the ionized state as a result of the removal of hydrogen atom from the NH2 radical. The actual account of 2 to 3 milli equivalents of negative ions in the blood. So basically इस पूरे पैराग्राफ का मतलब ये है कि the amino acids are moving in an ionic form, predominantly a negative ion acidic form. Okay, the precise distribution of different amino acids in the blood depends on some extent on the types of the protein eaten. आपने क्या खाया, because बहुत सारे अमीनो एसिड आपके डाइजेस्टिव ट्रैक्ट में डाइजेस्ट होने के बाद ब्लड में एब्जॉर्ब होते हैं. So depending upon what you have eaten determines the types and concentrations of the amino acid in the blood. Okay, fate of the amino acid absorbed from the GI tract. The products of protein digestion and absorption in the GI tract are almost entirely amino acids. So point यहाँ पर simple है. Like we eat, अगर आप गोश्त खा रहे हैं, so you are eating a lot of glycogen, और ये जो बहुत सारा glycogen है, ये आपके स्टमक में, इंटेस्टाइन में जाके ultimately monosaccharides में convert हो जाएगा, which is the glucose, and glucose will then be absorbed in your body. बिल्कुल इसी तरह अगर आप lipids ले रहे हैं तो fatty acid and the smaller molecules of lipids, and if you are eating protein, which is also, अगर आप गोश्त ले रहे हैं या चिकन ले रहे हैं या मछली खा रहे हैं, फिश ले रहे हैं, so there are polypeptide chains in those protein diet, और वो ultimately आपकी बॉडी में डिवाइड होगा into amino acids. So amino acids are produced as a result of digestion and they are absorbed. Soon after a meal, the amino acid concentration in a person's blood rise, but the increase is usually only a few milligrams per deciliter for two multiple reasons. Number one, protein digestion and absorption are usually extended over next 2 to 3 hours, which allows only small quantities of amino acids to be absorbed at a time. So ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने खाना खाया और जैसे ही प्रोटीन मील ली सारे का सारा प्रोटीन डाइजेस्ट हो गया, अमीनो एसिड एब्जॉर्ब हो गया. ऐसे नहीं होता. इट्स अ लॉन्ग प्रोसेस, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन आपने किस तरह की मील ली है. अगर आपने हैवी मील ली है जिसका मतलब ये है कि उसमें फैट्स भी हैं, प्रोटीन्स भी हैं, सो इट्स गोना टेक सम टाइम 2 to 3 hours फॉर डाइजेशन टू बी कंप्लीटेड. इसीलिए सारे का सारा अमीनो एसिड एक साथ नहीं एब्जॉर्ब होगा. जैसे जैसे प्रोटीन डाइजेस्ट होता जाएगा, अमीनो एसिड एब्जॉर्ब होता जाएगा. द सेकेंड रीजन फॉर स्लो राइज इन अमीनो एसिड इन द ब्लड आफ्टर मील इज दैट आफ्टर एंटरिंग द ब्लड, additional amino acids are absorbed within 5 to 10 minutes by cells throughout the body. So आपके डाइजेस्टिव ट्रैक से अमीनो एसिड एब्जॉर्ब हो रहे हैं और फिर आपके सेल्स भी अमीनो एसिड को एब्जॉर्ब कर रहे हैं. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि ब्लड में अमीनो एसिड की कॉन्सेंट्रेशन सडनली बहुत ज़्यादा राइज कर जाएगी. इट विल बी केप्ट स्टेडी बिकॉज ऑफ 2 रीजंस. इन दोनों रीजंस को समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है. पहला रीज़न ये कि यहाँ स्लो डाइजेशन हो रही है, स्लोली अमीनो एसिड ब्लड में आ रहे हैं. दूसरा रीज़न ये है कि जैसे जैसे अमीनो एसिड ब्लड में आ रहे हैं साथ साथ वो सेल्स में एब्जॉर्ब भी होते जा रहे हैं. ओके. Now, active transport of amino acids into the cells. The molecules of all amino acids are much too large to diffuse readily through the cell membranes. Therefore, significant quantities of amino acids can move via, a specific transport mechanism. कोई ना कोई receptor चाहिए. Renal threshold of amino acid. In kidneys, the different amino acids that are filtered by the glomerular capillaries can be reabsorbed through the proximal tubular epithelium, which is known as the secondary active transport, which returns to the blood again. However, as is true for other active transport mechanisms in the renal system, there is an upper limit to the rate with which the amino acids can be reabsorbed. So the point is कि ये आपका nephron है, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal tubule, collecting ducts, and here are the glomerular capillaries. So you eat a lot of protein, amino acids are there in the blood now, and these amino acids are filtered here, but they are reabsorbed, and they are reabsorbed in the renal system. They re-enter into the blood. लेकिन अगर बहुत ज़्यादा amino acid load है, यानी आपने बहुत heavy protein meal ली हुई है, बहुत सारा गोश्त खाया हुआ है, then the capacity of the renal system will not be enough to reabsorb all the amino acid which is filtered. In this case, you will reabsorb the amino acid, जितना कर सकते हैं उतना reabsorb करेंगे, बाकी urine में निकल जाएगा. Okay? Now, storage of amino acids as proteins in the cells. After entry into the cells, amino acids combine with one another by peptide linkages again under the direction of cell's messenger RNA, and they form cellular proteins. So amino acid cell में absorb हुआ और absorb होने के बाद अंदर अब proteins बना रहा है. Okay, therefore the concentration of free amino acids inside most cells usually remain low because amino acid जो free enter हुए थे cell में, they now combine with each other. Okay, however, many of these intracellular proteins can be rapidly decomposed again into amino acid by different enzymes in the cell. These amino acids can then be transported back outside into the blood. A special exception to this reversal process are the proteins in the chromosomes of the nucleus and are structural proteins such as collagen. They don't go out in the blood, but usually वरना ऐसे सेल को जब प्रोटीन चाहिए अमीनो एसिड अंदर आ जाएगा, अंदर प्रोटीन बनाएंगे और वो किसी भी वक्त डाइजेस्ट करके वापस अमीनो एसिड ब्लड में जा सकते हैं. Some tissues of the body participate in the storage of amino acid to a greater extent than others. For example, liver, which stores large amounts of amino acids. So this is one exception, okay? Amino acid release from cells as a mean of regulating plasma amino acid concentration. So that is a simple paragraph. Whenever there is drop down in amino acid concentration in the plasma, cells में से protein break up होके amino acid बाहर आ सकता है. Simple thing है ये तो, है ना? Reversible equilibrium between the proteins in different parts of the body. So because cellular proteins in the liver can be synthesized rapidly from the plasma amino acid, and because many of these proteins can be degraded and returned to the plasma almost as rapidly, constant interchange and equilibrium occurs between the plasma amino acid and the labile proteins virtually in every cell of the body. इस पूरे complicated paragraph का मतलब ये है कि देखें आपके सेल्स में जब ज़रूरत होगी अमीनो एसिड अंदर एंटर होंगे, प्रोटीन बनाएंगे. जब बॉडी को ज़रूरत कहीं और होगी तो ये प्रोटीन अमीनो एसिड में कन्वर्ट होकर दोबारा ब्लड में भी आ सकता है. सो ब्लड और सेल्स में जो अमीनो एसिड का एक्सचेंज है, इट्स अ डायनामिक प्रोसेस, हर वक्त चलता रहता है. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ अ पर्टिकुलर टिश्यू रिक्वायर्स प्रोटीन, it can synthesize new protein from amino acids in the blood. So blood से वो amino acid ले लेगा और अपने नए प्रोटीन बनाएगा अगर उसको ज़रूरत है. So it's kind of a very good thing because body में एक दूसरे का अपना ख्याल रखा जा रहा है. Different cells एक दूसरे का ख्याल रख रहे हैं basically. Okay. Now there is obviously an upper limit for storage of the protein. ऐसा नहीं है कि एक cell unlimited number of protein को अपने अंदर store कर लेगा. Each type of cell has an upper limit with regard to the amount of protein that it can store. After all the cells have reached their limits, the excessive amino acid still in the circulation are degraded into other products which are used for energy. That's a normal funda for your metabolism. So everything which is in excess either is wasted out of the body or is utilized by something else. Okay. Now, what are the different functional roles of plasma proteins? The major proteins which are present in your blood, they are albumin, globulin and fibrinogen. A major function of albumin is to provide colloid osmotic pressure. Very important. आपके ब्लड वेस्कुलर सिस्टम के अंदर एल्बुमिन की वजह से एक ऑस्मोटिक प्रेशर मौजूद है. ओके, ग्लोबुलिन्स perform several enzymatic functions, but equally important, they are principally responsible for both natural and acquired immunity. The globulins, the gamma globulins, for example. Then the third component of protein arrangements in your plasma is fibrinogen. It polymerizes into long fibrin threads during blood coagulation, thereby forming blood clots that help repair leaks in the circulatory system. So अगर कहीं किसी ब्लड वेसल में थोड़ा बहुत लीक है, then fibrinogen goes and makes a plaque there to seal the leak. Okay, तो ये 3 तरह के मेजर प्रोटीन कंपोनेंट्स हैं आपके प्लाज्मा में. एल्ब्यूमिन ऑस्मोटिक प्रेशर के लिए, ग्लोबुलिन डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म, एंड fibrinogen for clotting purposes. Okay, essentially all the albumin and fibrinogen of the plasma proteins as well as 50 to 80% of the globulins are formed in the liver. यानी कहने का मतलब है कि जो प्लाज्मा में 3 मेजर प्रोटीन्स घूम रहे हैं, albumin, fibrinogen and globulin, they are primarily synthesized in liver. The rate of plasma protein formation by the liver can be extremely high depending upon कितनी ज़रूरत है बॉडी को, but it can be as high as 30 grams per day. So your liver is a super duper type of organ. Now, we can also lose proteins if we have renal diseases, because then the filtration and the reabsorption will be disturbed, and you can lose about 20 grams of protein in via the kidney per day if kidney disease is present. If somebody has liver cirrhosis, now this simply means that the liver is not working properly anymore. So if the liver parenchyma, you know what is cirrhosis? Cirrhosis is something, this is suppose your normal liver and the normal hepatocytes are all replaced by fibrous tissue. So if the liver parenchyma, if the liver cells are replaced by liver fibrotic tissue, and the fibrotic tissue, the nodules, they are no more normal liver parenchyma cells, and because they are no more normal cells, they are unable to synthesize proteins. So जब कभी liver cirrhosis होगी, then the ability of liver to produce protein will be disturbed, and therefore you will have low albumin, you will have low globulin, you will have low fibrinogen. ठीक है, and if you have low albumin, then the plasma osmotic pressures in the body will be disturbed, and therefore these patients will have edema and ascites. If there are low globulins, these patients will be more prone to infection, and if there is fibrinogen problem, then the persons will be bleeding, and that will not be controlled because fibrinogen is not there. Okay, plasma proteins as source of amino acids for tissues. Obviously, when the tissues become depleted of protein, the plasma proteins can act as a source of rapid replacement. तो ये जो 3 मेजर प्रोटीन्स हैं ये सेल्स में घुसती हैं और अमीनो एसिड प्रोवाइड करती हैं. Okay, so this is all very nice concept summarized in this diagram, that this is the blood vessel and we have the amino acids in there जो digestion से हमारे blood में enter हुए हैं. They can enter into the cells, they can go into any cell, और जाकर के जब cell में पहुंचेंगे तो these amino acids will form proteins, and whenever the proteins are breaking, they are releasing amino acid into the blood. प्लाज्मा प्रोटीन्स 3 तरह की मैंने आपको बताई हैं, एल्ब्यूमिन, ग्लोबुलिन एंड फिब्रिनोजन, एंड दे कैन ऑल प्रोवाइड अमीनो एसिड सोर्स टू द सेल्स इफ दे नीड इट. Most of the plasma proteins are produced in the liver cell, and therefore if there is any liver disease, then the concentration of the plasma proteins in the liver will be obviously down, and as a result the plasma concentrations will also be low, right? Now you know the concept of essential and non-essential amino acids. 10 of the amino acids normally present in the animal proteins can be synthesized in the cells. However, 10 cannot be synthesized, or they are synthesized in quantities which are too small. So वो अमीनो एसिड जो आपकी बॉडी में सिंथेसाइज नहीं हो सकते, दे आर कॉल्ड एसेंशियल अमीनो एसिड्स, एंड द वर्ड एसेंशियल बेसिकली मीन्स कि दे हैव टू बी टेकन एसेंशियली इन द डाइट, बिकॉज ये आपकी सेल्स में प्रोड्यूस नहीं हो सकते. सो एसेंशियल अमीनो एसिड्स हैव टू बी टेकन इन योर डाइट. ओके, नॉन एसेंशियल दे डोंट हैव टू बी टेकन नेसेसरली इन द डाइट बिकॉज योर सेल्स कैन प्रोड्यूस देम. ओके, सिंथेसिस ऑफ नॉन एसेंशियल अमीनो एसिड्स डिपेंड ऑन, सो व्हेन द वर्ड नॉन एसेंशियल कम्स, इट बेसिकली मीन्स कि ये आपके खाने में खाना जरूरी नहीं है, बिकॉज आपके सेल्स इनको खुद बना सकते हैं. Okay, so synthesis of non-essential amino acids depend mainly on the formation of appropriate alpha keto acids, which are the precursors to the amino acid. For example, pyruvic acid, which is formed in large quantities during glycolysis. आपको पता है ना, ग्लूकोज का breakdown product है pyruvate. It's a keto acid and it's a precursor to alanine. So many of the carboxylic acids basically are ultimately keto acids, basically are ultimately precursors to amino acids. And then there is a lot of transamination, and transamination can produce different amino acids. So all those amino acids which can be produced in the body are known as non-essential, and those which cannot be produced in the body and they have to be taken essentially in the diet, they are called essential amino acids. Okay, फिर ये ट्रांसएमिनेशन और ये सारी डिटेल्स बायोकेमिस्ट्री गाइज मेरे लेक्चर डले हुए हैं, बायोकेमिस्ट्री की प्लेलिस्ट मेरी देख लो. Can we also use proteins as a source of energy? Yes, we can. Obviously, the most common source of energy that we use is the carbohydrate. The highest amount of energy is given by lipids, but we can still use proteins. So once the cells are filled to their limits with the stored protein, any additional amino acid in the body can be utilized for the process of energy generation. The degradation almost occur entirely in the liver, and it begins with the process called deamination, which is explained in the following reaction. So what happens is removal of amino groups from amino acid is the process which is what we call deamination. It occurs mainly in the liver by transamination, which means transfer of the amino group to some other acceptor substance. So for example, if there is an amino acid, इसमें से amino group निकाल के किसी और चीज में transfer कर दिया जाएगा. Okay, and as a result we get different molecules, and ultimately the amino acid is utilized. It gives NADH, and NADH can feed its electron to the electron transport chain, giving you energy. Okay, you know this NADH is a electron carrier, and whoever is an electron carrier, particularly NADH, is potentially energy producer, because NADH to the electron transport system, it gives a lot of electrons, and those electrons then give you energy, right? So the bottom line is that amino acids can also be utilized for energy production. Okay. Now, urea formation. It's a very important concept, the formation of urea. The ammonia released during deamination of amino acid is removed from the blood almost entirely by conversion to the urea. So basically, जो amino acid की metabolism का process है, उसमें amino group निकालते हैं, ammonia is released. ऊपर अभी diagram में हम अगर डिटेल में देखें, so at the end amino acid when metabolized releases in the end ammonia as well. So this ammonia has to be handled because this is toxic, and it is usually handled by conversion to urea. So two molecules of ammonia and one molecule of carbon dioxide combine as a result. So ammonia के दो molecule, carbon dioxide के एक molecule, and you get a molecule of urea and water. Essentially all the urea which is formed then in the blood is synthesized in the liver. So the point is कि not in the blood, the body, sorry. तो जो भी अमीनो एसिड मेटाबोलाइज हो रहे हैं and you are getting accumulation of ammonia in your body, this is handled and taken up by the liver, and the liver synthesizes urea. Okay, in the absence of liver, or in the persons who have liver diseases, ammonia accumulates, and this is very important in understanding pathology caused by liver disease. So say for example, if there is liver cirrhosis or God forbid liver cancer, then liver will not be able to handle the ammonia, and therefore the ammonia concentration in the blood will very increase. It will be substantially high, and this accumulation of ammonia is toxic to brain, and therefore it leads to hepatic coma. The stages of formation of urea are essentially the following. You don't have to really remember the stages, but anyways, ultimately from the ammonia, by reacting with carbon dioxide and ornithine, first we get citrulline, then into arginine, and then finally by the action of arginase we get the molecule of urea. Now, after its formation, the urea diffuses from the liver cells into the body fluids, and ultimately it goes to the kidneys for excretion. So in urine we pee out urea. Oxidation of deaminated amino acids. Once amino acids have been deaminated, the resulting keto acid in most cases can be oxidized to release energy for the metabolic purposes. ये बात मैंने already यहाँ पे ये जो reaction था, so this reaction, we get keto acids and they can be entered into different phases of the respiratory system, and ultimately we are also getting NADH, which also gives you energy because it is an electron carrier. Okay, so the keto acid is changed into an appropriate chemical substance, and then it can enter into the citric acid cycle. और कोई भी चीज जब citric acid cycle में enter हो गई तो ultimately वो energy बनाना शुरू कर देगी. Okay, the substance is degraded by the cycle and used for energy in the same manner as would acetyl CoA be used. So point ये है कि citric acid cycle में कोई भी चीज जब एक दफा enter हो जाती है तो वो फिर energy produce करना शुरू कर देती है, because citric acid cycle is the hub for energy production. Gluconeogenesis and ketogenesis, certain deaminated amino acids. So ऐसा amino acid जिसमें से amino group निकाल दिया है. Deaminated amino acids are similar to the substance normally used by the cells, mainly by the liver cells. They are helpful to synthesize glucose or sometimes fatty acids. So for example, alanine की जब deamination हो जाती है, so it is basically known as pyruvic acid, which can then be converted either into glucose or glycogen, depending upon what is the energy requirement of the cell. And if it is making glucose, it is then known as glucogenic amino acid. If it's making fatty acids, then it is called ketogenic amino acid. So it depends upon an amino acid is making what next molecule accordingly it is labeled. So for example, those amino acids which are making glucose are called glucogenic amino acid. Okay, so remember this terminology, it's important. The conversion of amino acids into glucose or glycogen is called gluconeogenesis, और ये हमने डिटेल में डिस्कस किया हुआ है. And if the amino acids are converted into keto acids or fatty acids, this process is then known as ketogenesis, because you are producing ketone bodies, fatty acids. Now, obligatory degradation of proteins means when a person eats no protein, a certain portion of the body protein is degraded so that the amino acid pool of the body is maintained. So, for example, आपकी body में muscles वगैरह जो हैं वो degrade होना शुरू हो जाएंगे अगर आप बिल्कुल protein use नहीं करते हो. Okay, that is the situation of starvation. So if somebody is starving, for example, then you will be having no food, obviously, and then there is no protein intake. So there will be degradation of your body proteins. So except for the 20 to 30 grams of obligatory protein degradation each day, which happens in a normal person as well, the body uses almost entirely carbohydrates or fats for energy as long as they are available. But if somebody is starvation, several weeks of starvation, there is no carbohydrate, there is no lipid which is available, and therefore the quantities of the stored carbohydrates and the fats, they begin to run out, and the amino acid from the blood are then rapidly deaminated for energy purposes. In this condition, your proteins are then utilized. From this point, the proteins of the tissues degrade very much rapidly. As rapidly as it can go to 125 grams per day. So imagine आपकी body proteins किस तेजी से खत्म होना शुरू होती हैं अगर आप काफ़ी अरसे तक starvation condition में. This is what we call protein caloric malnutrition. आपने सुना होगा कि बंदे को खाने को कुछ नहीं है, no carbohydrates available, no fats available, and the protein is being used as a source of energy. Because carbohydrate and fats utilization for energy normally occurs in preference to protein, they are known as protein sparer. देखिए प्रोटीन आपकी बॉडी का ना स्ट्रक्चरल कंपोनेंट है. प्रोटीन आपकी बॉडी में कोलेजन बना रहा है, आपकी बॉडी में बोन्स का इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट है, आपकी बॉडी में बहुत सारे एंजाइमेटिक रिएक्शन प्रोटीन से हो रहे हैं. सो प्रोटीन का काम दूसरा है, प्रोटीन का काम एनर्जी देना नहीं है. इसीलिए कार्बोहाइड्रेट और फैट्स ये जिम्मेदारी लेते हैं कि भाई एनर्जी हम दे देंगे, तुम बाकी दूसरे काम करो. अगर बिल्कुल कार्बोहाइड्रेट भी नहीं है, अगर बिल्कुल फैट्स भी नहीं है, तब जाकर के प्रोटीन की बारी आती है एनर्जी यूटिलाइजेशन के हवाले से, और वो कोई अच्छी बात नहीं है. उस केस में बेसिकली व्हाट हैपेंस कि आपके प्रोटीन, स्ट्रक्चरल प्रोटीन डैमेज होना शुरू हो जाते हैं. ओके, हार्मोनल रेगुलेशन ऑफ प्रोटीन मेटाबॉलिज्म, ग्रोथ हार्मोन इंक्रीजेस द सिंथेसिस ऑफ सेलुलर प्रोटीन. बस यही लाइन आपको याद रखनी है. इफ देयर इज ग्रोथ हार्मोन, इट इंक्रीजेस द मेटाबॉलिज्म इन अ वे कि द सेल्स के अंदर प्रोटीन फॉर्मेशन इज इंक्रीज्ड. Insulin is necessarily important for protein synthesis. If there's no insulin, then protein synthesis is almost zero. That heading is important. Just remember the headings. Glucocorticoids, they increase the breakdown of protein. So remember these things, okay? Growth hormone, increase protein synthesis. Insulin required for protein synthesis. Glucocorticoid, break down protein. इसीलिए वो diseases जिनमें cortisol levels high होते हैं, glucocorticoid level high होते हैं. Think about disease, Cushing disease for example. Cushing disease में there is high cortisol, high glucocorticoid. So what will happen कि proteins are degraded, and therefore these patients have abdominal stria because skin में protein damage है, muscle weakness होती है, bone weakness होती है, all those sort of things, okay? Right. Then what is the job of testosterone in terms of protein? Testosterone increases protein deposition in tissues, and actually let me tell you, बहुत सारे bodybuilders testosterone की pills और injections ले भी रहे होते हैं so that they have more protein mass in the body. Bodybuilders. Estrogen, the principal female gender hormone, also causes some deposition of protein but is not as effective as testosterone, okay? And if we talk about thyroxine, it increases the metabolism of the cells, and thyroxine indirectly affect the protein metabolism by increasing the metabolism of the cells. In insufficient carbohydrate and fats are available for energy, thyroxine causes rapid degradation of protein. And imagine if there is a cell, उसका मेटाबॉलिज्म बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है because of the thyroxine levels. तो thyroxine directly protein metabolism को कुछ नहीं कर रहा, लेकिन because it is increasing the cellular metabolism, and if carbohydrate and fats are not available to meet the increased demands, then proteins will be degraded. So indirect effect है thyroxine का कि it will help in protein degradation. Okay, so you saw that these were the simple concepts that we had to acquire regarding protein मेटाबॉलिज्म की फिजियोलॉजी. सो ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट. नेक्स्ट वीडियो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होने वाली है जिसमें मैं बात करूंगा आपकी बॉडी की एंजाइमेटिक और केमिकल फैक्ट्री की, विच इज़ लिवर. टिल देन अपना ख्याल रखिएगा. माय नेम इज़ प्रोफेसर आसिफ कुरैशी एंड यू आर वाचिंग डॉक्टर आसिफ लेक्चर्स.